I've got a really exciting video for you today. And recently, I've been seeing a lot of these point of view, first person style videos on TikTok and on YouTube, okay? And these videos are AI generated, but they're really viral, right? The example I'm gonna show you later in this video on TikTok actually has 33.5 million views, okay? It's very viral and it's only like 14 seconds long, and the entire clip has been generated using AI, okay? So I'm gonna go one step further and I'm gonna use sound and music, and I'm gonna bring it all together and show you exactly how you can do this completely on AutoPilot using end-to-end.io. Okay, so this is one that I'm really proud of. It took me a while to build this and even longer to record it. So hopefully you're gonna enjoy this. Grab a cup of coffee, strap yourselves in, and most importantly of all, please subscribe to the channel. So let's get started. So before I show you the build and exactly how it works, I wanted to show you this Time Portal's profile on TikTok, okay? And what's interesting is that they have like 300,000 followers, almost 5 million likes. And I've gone ahead and sorted by popular. And you can see that the most popular video is this one here, which has 33.5 million views, okay? So it's very viral and it's a very simple video, right? They basically just cut a few like 3-4 second videos, kind of bunch them together and then just put an output, right? And what's interesting is that there's actually no sound or music on this, right? So I reckon if you added some sound, you'd add some music to this, you can easily double the number of views, okay? They have 2 million likes on this post, almost 10,000 comments and 115,000 bookmarks, okay? So it's a very viral video, okay? And this has all been done by AI. Now, I think they're missing a trick because I would actually niche this down into this video here. If I know that this is the best performing video, I'd actually just create more content about ancient Egypt, right? Because they have a lot of videos here that are very diverse, right? So they've got the French Revolution, they've got the kind of Tudor England, the Black Plague, that kind of stuff, right? There's something, I don't know where this is, Yugoslavia. So you could do a better job just by niching down on this, okay? But this one is by far the winner. It's got 10 times, more than 10 times, or almost 10 times the number of views of the next best performing video, okay? So I'm going to show you the automation first, and then I'll show you what the output looks like. I've done a mine experience, so you can do any experience that you want. And this automation has been built into 4 parts. Okay, so let me just kind of zoom in here a little bit. I'll show you the first part. So the first part is the trigger, and this is going to take video ideas from Google Sheets. Okay, and it's going to create the titles. So the titles you see on the video, that's the first part. Again, I'll show you exactly what the Google Sheet looks like and how you can fill it. You can fill the cells with ideas, and I'll show you exactly how to do that, okay? The next part is what I call production. So this is going to use OpenAI's ChatGPT, and it's going to create the image, the video, and more importantly, the sound, right? Because the example that I showed you doesn't have any sound, right? And you can actually, automate the sound as well, okay? Then the last part of the automation is basically to take all the assets that we've created, it's going to merge it together, it's going to display the elements, and you'll see why. It's going to render the video, so we're going to use an AI service to basically render the video, and then it's going to put the final output on the same Google Sheets, okay? And then the last part, this is kind of optional. I don't think it's that much work to manually upload these videos onto your YouTube channel or TikTok or whatever, because they're not that big, right? Like the example that I showed you was about 14 seconds long, so the file size is going to be less than 10 meg, right? So it's not going to take you that long to upload something like that, right? That being said, I have actually gone ahead and created an automation for this, which will take the video with the URL on the Google Sheet with a HTTP request. It'll actually upload it into your YouTube channel, okay? And so this is what the video looks like. It's going to go to the beginning. So like I said, I've done a mine experience. So this is climbing the stone steps of a crumbling pyramid. Okay, very, very straightforward. It's about 5 seconds, but I'll show you how you can create more videos, piece them together, and have like a 20 second, 30 second video that has different scenes. Again, it's entirely up to you how you want to do this. So this is the Google Sheet. Okay, so this is the database that I've created. It's a very simple Google Sheet, and it's made up of a few things, right? So you've got the ID. The ID is necessary for how the sheet's going to work, and how the workflow is going to use the sheet. Then you've got some ideas here, okay? You've got some caption ideas. You've got the environment, and you've got the final output. So this is the video that I just showed you. This is what it looks like, and you've got a status and a to publish or publish columns here. Okay, these are going to be needed to trigger, further down different parts of the automations. Okay, now for the ideas, you can actually use OpenAI for this, right? So you could just plug this into OpenAI, into ChatGPT, and just ask it to give you some ideas for a Mayan experience or an Egyptian experience or ancient Rome or ancient Greece, whatever you want to do, right? And it doesn't have to be that long, right? You just need an idea, like a seed, okay? Because I'm gonna take this ideas column, which is column B, and I'm gonna plug it into OpenAI, and it's gonna expand on that, and you'll see that when I build the automation with you, okay? Then you got the captions. So the captions are gonna be these. So what you see, let me just go here. These are the captions, right? It's gonna take the captions and expand on that as well, right? So you don't need that much seed content, right? It can be like 100 characters or less. I mean, I don't think this is more than like 100 characters, right? And then the environments as well is going to use that with the AI prompts, right? We're going to create prompts off this, and it's going to give us a more vivid, lucid kind of environment, right? We want to get something that is as detailed as something like this, right? Because you can see there's a lot of detail here, right? There's people in the background, there's pyramids, there's a lot of things going on here. And the more detail you have, the better your videos are going to do. Okay. So yeah, that's it there. Put in kind of 8 to 10 ideas here, and the automation takes about 15 minutes to generate. Okay, so the text to image, there's about a 2-minute wait here. For the image to videos, it's about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. It really depends on, you know, the time of day that you're doing it, if their service is getting hammered, and the text to sound as well. Okay, so how do we build this? All right, well, let's start over here. Move this over to this side. Just going to zoom in so you can see this, and then move this up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to bring up a new workflow and then show you this. Okay, so the first one you want is a schedule trigger, and I'll leave this up to you, right? You can schedule this as, you know, as commonly, or if you want to do it daily, weekly, it's entirely up to you. If you want my advice, if I was doing this on TikTok or YouTube, I would have at least 3 videos a day. I'd upload at least 3 videos a day. To do this, especially with TikTok, it's going to get viral very, very quickly, okay? Because if you look for similar videos like this, I mean, this one has a few, right? This one has a few videos, right? Quite a few. But I've seen some profiles with like 10 videos, and they've got more followers than this guy, okay? So you can see it's the more that you post also versus your quality as well. There's different ways you can do this, okay? So I'll leave that up to you. And the next one you want is a Google Sheets module, okay? So I'm gonna bring this up, and then you want the get rows in Sheets, okay? Because we wanna look for the rows, and then just connect it up to your Google Sheets account. So that's Gmail or G Suite. I've already done that. And then you wanna select the correct sheet, okay? So from the list, I'm gonna pick the Mayan Civilization POV video ideas, because that's the name of the sheet. And then, or the name of the document, and the name of the sheet is exactly the same. Right, so whatever this is the name of your document, this is the name of the sheet. Okay, so it just you just need to find the corresponding sheet, and I'll include a link to the sheet below, so you could just swipe this and modify it however you want. Okay, and then you want to add a filter, because if you go back to the original, you want to see that the status column is the one that's going to trigger this part of the automation, right? And that's important, right? Because this one's done, right? So once this entire flow has finished, right, it's going to update this to done. And to publish, and it's going to have a final output. Right now, if I run this automation again, I don't want it to read row 1. Does that make sense? Because it's already done, right? So I want to read the next row, which is review. Okay, so we need a filter for review. So if I add a filter, the column is going to be status, or whatever you call it, right? Which is the corresponding column, and then the filter or the value is going to be review. Okay, and there's one last thing that we want to do, and that's add an option to return only the first matching row. Okay, and then turn this on. If you don't activate this, what's going to happen is it's going to read the entire sheet past the point of done, right? So it's going to read all of these as well, right? Which we don't want to. We don't want it to do that. We want it to read the next available row, which is number 2. Otherwise, it's going to screw up your automation. And if you test that, you'll see that it's worked. Okay, so let's test the step. So it's reading everything from the sheet, and it's executing the node. Let's just see if it's worked. And here you go, right? So the idea is you are a Mayan warrior preparing for battle against a rival city. Okay, so let's see. If it didn't work, it would have returned this one. You wake up in an abandoned Mayan city. Second one is you are a Mayan warrior preparing for battle against the rival city. So you know it's worked, okay? So we can go back here. And I do recommend that you test the flow at every node. It's just going to be easier for you to diagnose. I'm not going to do that because I've already built it, but I'll show you exactly what it looks like, obviously from the original, okay? And then the last one you want is this module here, which is to create the titles. And for this is called an an LLM basic chain. Okay, sounds complicated, but it's really not, and I'll show you what that is. So we want this basic chain, basic LLM chain node. Okay, and this is what it's going to look like. But if I go into the original, we're going to take a few things from here. Okay, so we're going to need a system prompt. Okay, and this is what the system prompt looks like. And I'm going to go through this in detail with you. Okay, so because if you know anything about me, you know that I spend a lot of time in prompting. Okay, for me, when it comes to AI, and I love building automations with AI, I will try and include an AI module in the builds that I show you on YouTube, but also the builds that I create for my clients. Okay, because I think that's the most fun that we're ever going to have is AI, and it's just getting better and better, right? So your output is directly influenced by the input, and for that, when it comes to AI, it's prompting, it's prompt engineering, right? So you need to learn it. I know it's kind of tedious. You got to type it out and all that, and you got to test it to see what the output's like, and you got to go back and refine it, and so on and so on. I get all that, but look, this is the most important part of it. And you know, if you want to get viral content, if you want a faceless video, this is where you need to spend most of your time. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to kind of whiz through this, but you need something that's going to be similar setup to this. Okay, so you want an AI designed to create a highly immersive, action-driven, and hyper-realistic point of view prompts. Okay, so point of view is this. Right, that's what it is. They're all point of view, right? You're seeing it as the person in the video. Your goal is to produce sequential narratives that feel like a day in their life, okay, experience for a given video topic. The only reason I've done that is because a day in the life seems to be what's working, what's going viral on TikTok and other places, okay? Each scene should be visually engaging, cinematic, and emotionally compelling. Again, you can just put in whatever kind of words, emotive words you want in there. I've added some rules, so avoid using double quotation marks, right? Because I don't want that in the output. Skip any details about waking up in bed. I didn't want that, but I mean, this guy has done that. As you can see here, they kind of wake up, and he's done that on multiple videos. This one here as well. You wake up in a gulag. This one here, you wake up as a slave in 1800s America. Okay, so if this is your thing, you can do that. And yeah, that's that. You can have that in there. Okay, I've decided to remove that. Right, I just want to get straight, kind of into the weeds, and make it as action oriented as possible. Right. And then there's a few other rules here, as you can see. I'm going to kind of whiz through this. So all prompts should be, so these are guidelines, right? So all prompts should be written from a first person perspective. This is very important because when I was running this in my testing, it wasn't coming out as a first person, right? I was getting like third person, sometimes like, like bird's eye views, that kind of stuff, right? Like I wanted it to be very specific. Okay. The other thing as well is I've included words that are very descriptive. So include POV related terms, such as GoPro style, right? So GoPro is obviously going to be first person view or point of view. So I've just kind of, mentioned it, emphasized it to make sure that the AI module knows exactly what to do. Okay. Keep each prompt between 5 and 10 words. Again, that's optional. You can put in 20 words, 30 words. If just test it to see what kind of output you get. I just kept it short because when I run it, I want it to run quickly. Okay. So avoid deep thoughts or reflections. Focus on physical actions and direct interactions. Okay. Instead, ensure the sequence follows a logical flow. And then the last thing I've done is I've given an example. An example could be whatever you want it to be, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be a mind experience like mine. I've just given it a theme of a peasant's life in medieval Europe because that's what that guy was doing, right? So unlatching a wooden cottage door at dawn, drawing water from the village well. It's just giving context of that time period, right? This is what most likely people will be doing, right? So just remember, it's just context, right? And then this is the output. You don't need emojis. I just kind of threw them in there to see if it makes any difference to the output. It really doesn't, but I just wanted to include it in there just for the sake of this video. Okay. Yeah, and that's it. That's basically it. Okay. So, let me just copy this before I move on. Let's go into the expressions view so you can see it, and then I'm just going to copy this and then paste it into the build. Okay, and then I'm going to add a system prompt. Let's jump into expressions. Let's open the video so you can see it, and then just paste it in here. Okay, and then the other thing, there's a JSON output, right? So it's going to bring it in from how about done on the original? Let me just go back into here. So from the ideas column, not from chat. Okay, so you want to pull it from this column here, column B, or whatever your column is called. Okay, so I'm going to take this because I've already done it. And so the JSON is .ideas. Okay, so you see if it's worked, it's green, and it's going to pull the correct text from the correct column, which is you are a Mayan warrior preparing for battle against a rival city. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and take the chat out. Let me just bring this out. Let me just come out of this. Let me just define it below. Save that. So you just want to change this from connected chat trigger mode, which is not, you want to define it, right? And then you'll see it as green. If it's worked, it's pulled the correct text. And yeah, that's it. That's all you need for this one. Okay, so if we go back into the original, that's pretty much it. Okay, and there's two additional modules here that we're going to attach, and I'll show you what they are. So the first one is the OpenAI chat module, which is what I'm using for this. So let me just come out of this. Let me just move this over. And then we're going to create an OpenAI chat, and then for this I'm just going to use Fora Mini because it's quick and the output's fine. It's more than enough. Okay, so if I go into the original, I'll show you what that looks like. It's exactly the same. Right, I haven't done anything different there. So there, and then the last thing you want to do is you want to add a required specific output, and then it'll have the output parser. Okay, so make sure this one is checked, so requires specific output format, right? Because we're going to need the output parser, which is this module here. Okay, so you see if I come into create titles, I've done a require specific output format. It's going to let us connect this module here. So that this is the item list output parser, and this is the number of items, right? So imagine your video, right? Let's say each video is 3 to 5 seconds long, right? That's obviously not very enticing if you want to get a viral video on TikTok. So what you can do is you can have 5 pieces of content. So imagine, 5 pieces of 5 seconds. That's 25 seconds of content. That's more likely to be, viewed, clicked on, viewed. There's more likely that people are going to be engaged in the video because it's longer, and also it's more likely to go viral, right? Now this number can be whatever you want it to be. What I suggest is if you are gonna build it during the test phase, just have like 1 or 2, right? Because you want the workflow to return results quickly, right? You don't want it to wait too long. Okay, so I'm just gonna connect the Outlook, the item output parser, and I'm just gonna use the value 2 for now. Okay, and that's it. That's the first part done. So we've kind of done this together. And remember to label it. So if I go back into the original that I built, I called it video ideas, and this is the create titles module. These you can leave it as it is. It doesn't really tell you anything other than what you need there. And then, so now we're going to go into the production side of the build. Okay, so over here, let's just move this across. Okay, and we're just going to move this over here. And then now we're just going to do OpenAI. Okay, and we're just going to message a model, right? So this is like a chat completion. And this is what it should bring up. From the list, I'm just going to use Fora Mini because like I said, it's giving me a great output and it's pretty quick. Okay, but you can use any model that you wanted to. And then for the text and the system messages, I'm just going to copy from here because I've already done it, and I'll talk you through that, okay? So I can see I've just picked Fora Mini. Let me just bring up the expressions window. And this is going to take the original prompt or the original idea from the ideas column, and it's going to expand on that. Okay, so now the prompt is, you are an expert at creating prompts for AI generating images, right? Your role is to take a short POV image prompt and transform it into a detailed cinematic and hyper-realistic description of the Mayan world. I put in the Mayan world because I want it to be very specific. I don't want like ancient Egypt. I don't want Rome. I don't want Greece, etc. Right? And I've told it that I'm going to be using an image generation model like Flux or Midjourney. So for this example, we're going to use Flux, but I just wanted to give it some context, right? And the goal is to create an immersive first-person experience where the viewer feels fully present in the scene. Okay, so the base prompt to expand is the response from the previous module. Okay, so that's going to be the response text, which is, where's that one? On here, this one, the create titles, which is the LLM basic chain, right? We're going to take that, and it's green. If it's green, you know it's worked, right? So gripping my obsidian tipped spear lightly. Okay, then for the scene environment, it's going to take it from the environment column on the sheet, okay, which is this one here, right? So you can see here, it's battlefield, feathered, armor, obsidian weapons, right? That's kind of context I've given it. And you can see if it's worked, which it has. You can see that it's battlefield, feathered, armor, obsidian response. And this is just a dynamic variable in JSON, okay? The only requirement here is to make sure that this one is the response from the previous module. This one is we're pulling it from the sheet. We're pulling it from the Google Sheet, right? Just make sure that you map the correct column on the sheet. So mine is called environment, right? That's why it's there, right? And if it's green, it's worked. So every prompt must include two sections. Foreground describe the hands, limbs, or feet of the viewer, because I want to start from that perspective. Must start with first person view, POV, GoPro shot of relevant limb, whatever, right? And obviously AI is going to fill in whatever's here, like relevant limb. Background describe the surrounding environment of the scene. Must start with in the background describe scenery. And then I've given it some key guidelines, okay? And this is just my kind of way of doing it. If I give it guidelines and if I give it examples, I get better outputs, okay? So the first person perspective is mandatory, right? I'm very clear about that, right? The a visible limb must be hands or feet, right? I don't want to see face, I don't want to see body or anything like that. Framing must be dynamic and immersive. The scene should mimic real-world human vision, ensuring motion, depth, and realism in a way that feels lifelike. And remember rules, right? So the output should be plain text, no new lines, which is this here. Do not use emojis or special characters, because that's just going to screw up the later parts of the automation, where I'm using the text to image to create an image, text to sound, and obviously the video as well, right? And I don't want special characters as well, because that generally just breaks things in my experience. Make the image as vivid, lucid as possible, because I want to make it like an interesting scene. And more importantly, I want to grab attention, right? This is a mind experience. Make sure the output fits the context. Again, I'm reinforcing the mind theme. Emphasize the first person point of view in the prompt. This is absolutely mandatory, okay? And this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to grab this, okay, and paste it into our build. And so you need something along those lines, okay? And the other thing I just want to show you before I move on is this is a user prompt, okay? So we can go in here and just select a user, okay? And then the last thing you want to do is simplify the output. So make sure that's checked, which it is. And yeah, that's it. That's all you want to do. And remember to test it. You can change the name of this. You can leave it as OpenAI. I left it as the Mind Experience. Okay, and that's the model that we're going to use for this. Okay, but remember you can use Claude or Gemini or Perplexity can do this as well. I've decided to go ahead and use OpenAI. Okay, so that's the language model selected. And now we're going to build this system here, okay, which is the text to image. So the first part is we need the image. Second part is we're going to create the video using the image. So it's going to make it dynamic. And then the last part is it's going to take the video and create the sound. Okay, so for the first part, we're going to need, let me just click inside of here. We're going to need I've labeled it text to image, but this is just a HTTP request. Okay, so go in here, let me just come out of this actually. Let me just bring it up here. HTTP request. Right, and we're going to change this to post. And then the service that we're going to use for this is called Pi API. Okay, so copy this URL. This is the URL for the endpoint inside of Pi AI, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like in a sec. I'm just going to set this up first. And then you need some headers, okay? So just go back into here, select headers, right? And this is very important, so make sure you're paying attention to this, okay? So I'm going to go back to the original and show you why. So the first header has to be the X-API key. And make sure that this is case sensitive, okay? This is very, very important. So I'm just going to copy that because I've already got it. I don't want to make any mistakes because I know it works. And then the value is going to be the API key. And I'll show you in a sec how to get that. We're going to go inside of Pi API and show you exactly how that works. So I'm just going to get that. And then there's one more bit of configuration you want to do here, okay, which is the body. We're going to set up the body. So I'm just going to copy that because I've already done it. So the body, you want to change that from JSON to raw. And then the content type is spell it right. And make sure this is spelled correctly because this is very, very important. It's not going to work otherwise. Application-JSON. Okay, very, very important. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Your automation is going to fail. Okay, and then for the expression, we're going to copy this. Okay, so basically, this is just basic JSON. And we're telling the HTTP request node that we want to use Flux. So Flux is the image creator that we're going to use on Pi API. And the task type is going to be text to image because we already have the text on the previous module, right, from the Mind Experience, right? So we have the content here, okay, which is going to be the output once you run it, okay. And for this, it's going to be the prompt is going to be the message content, which is this here, right? That's what we're going to use for the actual prompt. Okay, so it's very dynamic. You don't have to type in anything. All you need is content in the original Google Sheets. Okay, so I'm going to copy this JSON and paste it into our working automation here. Okay, our build. So just expand that, and then it's worked. I haven't connected up the previous modes, but once you see it, once you run it, each node, you'll see that it's taken the content from here, from the previous node, which was the mine experience, which is the OpenAI node, and then it's outputted here, which is correct, right? It's absolutely correct. And that's it. So I'm going to close this, and for this, we're going to use a service called PyAPI, like I said. Okay, so PyAPI, just go ahead, head over to pyapi.ai, sign up for an account. They do give you some free credits, but it's really not enough, right? So I topped mine up with like $5, kind of very, very cheap. And then we're going to use obviously the Flux, which is what we're telling it here in the body, right? Because we're going to use Flux 1 dev. Okay, and then to get the API key, you just want to go to API keys, and then they'll have a key here. Just reset it and then just copy the key here, which is what I've done for this. It's the same key. Okay, and remember the test step. And that's the first part. Okay, so let's just connect this up, which will look like the original build, right? The next module you want to connect is a weight module. Okay, and the reason for that is because when you use a text to image creator language model AI tool, it's not instant, right? For this example, the actual live build, I put in 2 minutes, which is about fine. 2 to 3 minutes is usually what it takes most language models to build. Okay, so just remember, just factor that in, because it's not going to be instant, right? So this automation, like I said at the start of the video, takes about 15 minutes end to end, right, to generate the image, the video, the sound, and then to render everything as well, right? So I'm just going to add a weight module here, just so that it doesn't break the automation, right? And then for that, we're just gonna set it to 2 minutes, which is enough, right? If you're unsure, just set it to like, kind of be overly aggressive and set it to 5 minutes, because you want to make sure that the next part of the automation is going to work, right? Because the next one is get image, right? So you can't get the image unless the image has been created, right? That's just kind of makes sense. So we're going to set this to 2 minutes. Move that over here, and then the last one for this particular subsection is the get image. Okay, so for this, I'm just gonna copy this one, duplicate this one, and just change it a little bit. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like in a sec in the original. Just move it over. Just move over the trackpad. Make sure you connect it up, otherwise it's not gonna work. Right, and then if I just go inside of here, I can just copy and paste this. So now it's a get method, okay, and we're gonna copy this. Okay, so if I execute the previous node, it's gonna be the task ID, right? In fact, let me just execute it. Might take a few minutes for this to run, but you can see now it's gone green, right? So there's a task ID from the previous node, right, which is this one here, right? And it's a dynamic field because we want to make sure that this is completely automated, right? So what you want to do is go into this one again, copy this, which is exactly the same. So I'll show you. It's exactly the same, but now we're going to put in the dynamic task ID, okay, which is this field here, JSON, dollar, so open bracket, curly bracket, open, dollar JSON dot data dot task underscore ID, close, okay, and if it's worked, you'll see it's something like this, it's green, okay. And then for everything else, you don't need, you can keep the header the same, but the body you can turn off. Okay, so we don't need the body. So everything else stays the same, and that's it. That's gonna get the image, right? It's gonna pull it off from PyAPI service, okay, because that's where the image has been generated, right? Just remember, it's a post method, not a get. It's get, not post. Sorry, so I need to change this to get, and that's it. So remember, this is going to be text to image. Let's just save that. And the other one is going to be the get image. Okay. Rename that. and then that's it. That part is done. The get image is done. Okay, so now we've created the image, we're waiting for it, we're gonna get the image. Okay, so now we can move on to image to video. Okay, so let's just open this up. I'll show you what that looks like. And for this, you wanna switch this over to a post, okay? And everything else is the same, but now we're gonna change the body of the endpoint, the actual HTTP request, okay? Because now we're gonna change, we don't need an image, right? We need a video. So we're gonna use a service called Cling, which a PyAPI has. So if you go down the list here, it's got Cling, okay? So I'm just gonna copy, what do we need? So we're just gonna copy this. In fact, we could just duplicate. In fact, let me just do this. Let me just duplicate this one. Duplicate, paste that one here. Okay, we're just gonna connect it up from the previous node. Let's just rename this to image to video, which is what it is. And then I'm just gonna pull some information off this one here. Okay, so everything else, the headers are the same, the API is the same, that doesn't change. Body content is raw, the application JSON is a content type, but this time we're gonna change the actual script, okay, the JSON. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna select a model called Cling, because Cling can take an image and turn it into a video, it can turn it into a dynamic video. The task type is video generation. The prompt is gonna be the data import prompt from the previous node, okay, which I haven't ran yet, but you'll see. And then the image URL is again the same. It's the output URL from the previous node, okay? Because remember, if I come out of here, copy this, just make sure I've copied this, copy the entire thing. I'm gonna paste this in our build. The previous node is get image. So we have a, in fact, I think this is, the output will be an image URL. Okay, so I'll run this, it'll take a few minutes, but you'll see that the output is going to be an image URL here. Okay, it's gonna, once it's ready, it's going to be generated at this URL on PyAPI. Okay, so let's go inside of here. Everything else, like I said, stay the same, but now we're going to edit this because we don't need an image, we need a video. So I'm going to save this in here, and it's all great because I haven't run it on this automation. Okay. The next thing you want to do is just add another wait module. So I'm just going to copy, duplicate this, connect it up. Okay, just move it here. This time you're going to need a bit more time. Okay, I'll probably recommend that you have something like 10 minutes because the video module takes a lot longer than the image module, or the image node. So if I go into the original, I can show you what that looks like. Okay, so if I go inside of here, I did 5 minutes. I don't think it's, I mean, it kind of works sometimes. It really depends on what time of day, what specific day you run this on. I found that, you know, if I do it at nighttime or early morning my time when, you know, the US is not online or generally asleep, it's kind of a lot faster. But I'll probably, you know, if I was testing this, I'd probably do this at like 10 minutes just to make sure that we have enough time. We give it enough time to basically pull the video. Okay, and then the last thing you want to do is you want to duplicate this one. We're just going to modify this one. Okay, connect this up, and then now this is going to rename this to get video. Let me just go into the original and I'll show you what that looks like. So let's just come out of this, and now it's exactly the same. We're just going to get task ID from the previous node, right? So it'll be green, and then the headers all stay the same, right? But now we turn the body off. So I'll go inside of here. I'm going to add the task ID from the previous node. Okay, headers, like I said, stay the same. Body we can turn off, and that's it, right? That's the video production done of the automation. Now I'm going to move down a bit, and I'm going to show you the last part of the production cycle. Okay, so now we're going to need to get the text and create sound with it. Okay, so let's just go inside of this module. I'll show you what I'm using. I'm using a service called 11 Labs for this. It's pretty affordable. It's like, I think like $5 a month or something. They give you like 20 or 30,000 credits, so you've got more than enough to build sound of this. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and this is the endpoint that we're going to trigger. And it's another HTTP request, but this time it's post. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new one for this. So let's just go into HTTP requests. Like I said, it's post, right? And we're gonna save this URL in here, okay? And then if we go inside of here, what are the headers? So we're always gonna need headers and body when we're generating content. So this time it's xi.api.key. Okay, make sure that this is correct. Okay, so remember, set up headers, xai-api-key. It has to be exactly how you see it, and it's case sensitive as well. Just remember that, okay? Then we're gonna take the value. Just go to the front here, pull this off, and I'll show you how you get that key. Okay. And then lastly, you want to include the body, okay? So let me just paste the value in here. We'll do the body, and the body type is raw. The content type is always the same. It's application-JSON, right? And remember, it has to be exactly how you see it. Make sure there's no typos, make sure it's case sensitive. And we're gonna copy this script here. Okay, so now it's the same, but now we're gonna use the video ideas. First, JSON ideas substring. Okay, and what that means is we're gonna basically execute and we're gonna basically, substring means that we're gonna make it smaller, right? Because there is a character limitation in what you can do with the 11 labs, okay? And then the second part is from the mine experience, we're gonna take the JSON message content, and again, we're gonna substring that, which means we're gonna take the text, make it smaller. I think the combined text or character limit is like 450 on 11 labs, which is why I've done 370 and 60 here. It keeps it below the 460 kind of threshold there. So that's why I've done it along those lines. Okay, I think it's like 450 or 460. If you go above that, it's going to error out, right? It can't handle more text than that. So let me just paste that into the body. Let's just bring up expression so you can see that. Oh, I didn't copy it. Let me just go back here. I'm going to copy all this. Head over here. And again, it's red because I haven't ran the module, but you can see that it's pulled that in, and this one hasn't ran yet, so that's fine. I can run it at the end of this video, which is entirely fine. Okay, so yeah, we have everything here, and the last thing I want to show you is where'd you get the API key. Okay, so head over to 11 labs. This is my 11 labs account, right? Like I said, sign up. If I go into pricing, I'll show you what that looks like. So subscription, I'm paying for this. Like I said, I think it's like $5, $5.45 something a month. Yeah, and you get like 40,000 credits, which is enough, more than enough for you to do this. And I'm on a starter, which is $5. So yeah, that's very good value. And 11 labs is the best. I've used a few. Definitely 11 labs is number one. And then for this, you just want to create an API key. Okay, so for this, I've called it nan.io. This is what I've created for this. But you just create an API key and then you paste it here. You just go back up here where it says value under headers. Okay. So let's move this down here. Go back into the original. What are we doing next? Okay, so now we've got the text to sound. Okay, so let's just label that text to sound before I move on. So we're gonna get confused. So text to sound. Okay, and then the next thing you want to do is you want to save that, right? You want to upload that file. I mean, I'm using Google Drive for this. You can use Dropbox or whatever you're comfortable with. Google Drive just works really well with this. And then we're going to upload the JSON task ID from the previous module, okay? Because it's now outputted it here, right? Once it's created, we want the task ID and we want to save that, okay? So let's just grab this. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to copy this. And for this, we're going to use Google Drive. And you want upload file. That's the module that you want. Okay, so connect it up. The file name is going to be, you can just drag and drop it. So if I go into here, if I'd run it, you can see in the schema, right? You can just drag and drop that file, or you can just paste in the JSON task ID but make sure you put .mp3 on the end, okay? Because that's gonna pull the video file, okay? So let's just paste that in here. And then in terms of the rest of the setup, so you can see here, it's pulling it from the previous module. I'm saving it at the root. You can create a folder for this. You can create like a Faceless video channel folder or whatever you want, okay? I'm just gonna leave it at the root, which is fine here. And then this is my drive, right? So exactly the same, okay? And then when you click on this file, right, once it's created, it's gonna come up with a error that says you don't have access to the file, okay? Which is why you need this module here, which is update permissions, right? So it's another Google Drive, right? But this time it's a shared operation, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the JSON ID from the previous module, which is the upload, and then we're gonna search by the ID, and then we're just gonna change the permissions to writer, to anyone, and then allow discovery. It just means that you can use it later down the flow, okay? If I don't add this module, I'm not gonna be able to pull it off and merge and build this side of the automation. So this is done. So let's just add a last module here, and then we're done with the production cycle, okay? So we're gonna do Google Drive, and then this one is gonna be share file. Okay, and then we're gonna select by ID, and then you just pull the ID from the previous module. So I'm just gonna take it from here, which is the JSON ID, JSON.id. Let's just save that here. And then remember, you wanna add some permissions, okay? So the permissions are gonna be writer, anyone, and allow file discovery. Okay, so we're gonna do writer, anyone, and then allow discovery. That's it, done. Okay, and then you're done here. This has just got an error because I haven't ran the thing. But yeah, that's it. So just kind of recap. We've got the ideas, right, from the Google Sheets. Then it's gonna create the titles. So let's just rename this to create titles. Create titles, and then obviously it's gonna use the OpenAI ChatGPT module, and then this is the number of outputs, right? So how many videos do you want per run, right? Do you want, like, if it's a 5-second run, do you want 5 videos, do you want 10 videos? This is where you set it up, okay? Then we've got the OpenAI ChatGPT module here, which is gonna generate the text to image. It's gonna wait, and it's gonna get the image, right? And then it's gonna wait for the image, get the image, use the image to create a video. It's gonna wait, and then it's gonna get the video, and then lastly, it's gonna use the text to sound. It's gonna upload the file, and then it's gonna share the file. So this one, let's call it upload video, and then this one, we can just call it share video. Share video. Okay, and yeah, just remember to save it, give it a name. I'm not gonna do that because I've already got one, but that's it. That's the production side of it done. Okay, so now what do we need to do is we need to move over and render the video. We need to take all the elements, put it together, merge it, display the elements, render the video, and I'll show you what I use for rendering. And then we save the output onto the same Google Sheet, which is this final version, column G here, okay? So first thing you want to do is get a merge module. All right, so I'm just going to open this, get the merge, right? And then for the number of inputs, if you think about it, we need 4 inputs, okay? Because if I go back to the original, what are we going to need to render this video, right? To render this video, we're going to need the captions, right? We're going to need the video, we're going to need the image, and we're going to need the sound. Okay, so there's 4 inputs that we're going to need. Okay, so set this to 4, right? Which is the same as this. I'll show you number 4, and then we need to combine them, right, before we can merge it. Okay, so select this, change it to combine. Okay, and then here we want to do position, combine by the number of position. Okay, so this is combines items based on their order, and you'll see why, right? So we're going to set this to 4 again, and then you can just move this over here, and then we can go back to original, and then we can see exactly how it works. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the text to image. That's going to be the first input. The second input is going to be the MP3 file, or the video, the sound file. The third input is going to be the video, and the last input is going to be the update, the share permissions. Okay, so let's just get this. So remember, this is the order that we're going to do it in. Okay, so the first one is text to image. So let's just move this over here to the first one, like we did in the original. Okay, second one is get video. So we're going to go here and then we're going to connect get video. Okay, and then if I just move this down a bit, the third one is going to be upload a video, and then the last one is going to be the share video, or I think what I call it something else, or update permissions. Yeah, that's probably better. Let me rename that to update permissions, because that's what we're doing, right? We're taking the file, we're giving anybody, anyone right to access. Update permissions. Rename that, and yeah, that's the node there. That's complete. The next node is a code node, which is labeled as display elements on mine. So if you click inside of here, I'll show you exactly what this does. So basically this returns the values for the titles, the video URL, and the sound URL, okay? Because we need these values before we can assign them to a video rendering tool that I'm gonna show you in the next module, and exactly how you can set that up, okay? So for this one's a pretty straightforward node. You just wanna copy this text and then head over here to the build. We're going to find the code node. So it's just run JavaScript, quite straightforward. Remove this, paste the code, and yeah, you can rename it to display elements. Let's just do that quickly. Rename it. Obviously test the step, and yeah, you're good to go. Okay, so the next module, this is the one that's going to pull all of it together. Okay, so everything that we've built up to this point is now going to be rendered using a rendering platform, and I'm going to show you exactly how to set that up. Okay, so this is just another HTTP request module. This time it's a post method, and we're going to call this URL this endpoint. Okay, so we'll just grab this, and the tool that we're going to use for this, or the platform we're going to use for this, is called createautomate.com. Okay, so let me just head over to the build. I'm just going to find the HTTP request module or node, change this to post, and then paste the URL in here. Make sure it's exactly how you see it. So it's https://api.createautomate.com/version1/renders. Okay, and then for headers, you want to put something very specific. Okay, so the first part is authorization. I'm going to copy this because I don't want to make any mistakes, because this is case sensitive, and if there are any spelling mistakes or anything like that, it's going to fail. Okay, the second part is you're going to need the API key, but you're going to need the word bearer in front of it. Okay, and that's just the syntax of this particular application, and I'll show you how to get the API key and how to set up Createautomate. But for the first part, I just want to put the API key and bearer in there, and then we want to add another parameter. Okay, so this time it's going to be content type, so content dash type, and again, pay attention to capitalizations, otherwise it's going to fail. And then the last part is application JSON. Okay, so I'm going to copy that as well because I don't want to make any mistakes, but this is very straightforward. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to enable send body. Okay, and so we're going to do that, and then the content type is always going to be raw, and or the body content type, and then the content type itself is going to be the same. It's going to be, let's just paste application JSON. Okay, as you can see in the original. And then for the expression in the body, I'm just going to open this up so you can see this. Now it looks very complicated, but it's really not. So effectively what we're doing is we've got template ID inside of Createautomate. This is a template I'm going to use, and I'm telling it using JavaScript to assign the URLs to a specific asset inside of Createautomate. Okay, so the first 5 is audio, the second 5 is video, the third 5 is text. Okay, and this is if you want to create 5, assets at the same time of each. Right, so if you want to make like a 20-second, 30-second video, you're going to need multiple, assets, which is why I've set it to 5. Okay, if you wanted 10, you just copy this. Variable here, and you just paste it, and then change the audio to 6. The same for video, the same for text. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and paste it into the build. So let's just go here. We're going to change it to expression so you can see it in a nice big pop-up. And there you go. Okay, that's it. And then lastly, I'm going to show you exactly how Createautomate works and how you can set it up and how you can get the API key. Okay, so head over to creatormate.com. This is going to be the window that you see, right? So the way to get your API key is if you go to these three dots here, click on project settings, and then you've got the API key here. So if you click to reveal, it's just going to reveal the one that I showed you. You just copy that and then paste it inside of here, but just make sure there's a bearer space before that. Okay, that's just a syntax for this particular platform. Okay, and I'm in the wrong video. Just go back here, and then yeah, that's it. That's all you need to do. Okay, then what you want to do is you want to create a template. Okay, so I've already done this, and I'll show you what that looks like. So we're going to click on this, and so basically this is just a very standard template that you can put on video for TikTok Reels. You could put Instagram Reels. It's this dimension, which is 1080 by 1920 pixels. You can also use video shorts on YouTube for this as well. Okay, now ignore the background image and anything else, the text here that might show or not show. This is just a placeholder, okay, because this module here is going to replace all of that. Okay, it's going to take all the variables. So if I can show you from the original, let me just go back here. It's going to take all these display elements, it's going to put it into an API call, and then it's going to put it all together on this template. Okay, and the way the template is set up is I'm going to do the first 5 assets are going to be text, right? The next 5 are going to be video, and then the last 5 are going to be audio. Okay, and we are basically pulling in all these assets, right, to do that. And if I go into the render video module, you can see exactly what this is doing, right? It's going to assign everything that we built from the workflow using these dynamic variables. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want a timeline, something like this. Now this is this is typical of like a 25 to 30 second video, probably just under 30 seconds, right? So if I had more assets, if I was generating more outputs from the Google Sheet, then I could fill all this up, right? I could have text 1, text 2, text 3, and this is just the captions, right? And then I could do the same for the video, and I could do the same for the audio. And this is how you build a longish form, or certainly something like this, right? So if you go back to the original that I showed you at the beginning of this video, you can see that this is 14 seconds, right? So he's taken basically 2 or 3 second clips and, you know, just kind of merge them together, right? And that's effectively what this is doing. So if you build something like this, it's quite straightforward. If you just go to templates, new, and then start from scratch here, right? It's pretty straightforward. And then the dimensions you want is 916 vertical, right? This is the TikTok Reels, Instagram Reels, or YouTube Shorts dimensions. Okay, just bear that in mind. And then that's it. You're good to go. So I'm just gonna come out of this, and let's just rename this render video, just for the sake of labeling these, right? Rename that. And then the last one is we want to update the sheet. Okay, we want to update the Google Sheet, and so we're going to put the final variable, the URL, as a dynamic variable. We're going to update it, and basically that node is going to then take the video, the final video, which is the same link as this, right? And it's going to save it into column G, okay, which is what you wanted to do. Okay, so let me just go back to the original, and we're going to use an update row operation inside Google Sheets. Okay, so let's just pull that up first in the build. So if I bring up Google Sheets, and then you want this one here, update row. Okay, and then just connect it up as you normally would. Find the correct document, which is this one here. It's the Mayan Civilization POV video ideas. The sheet is exactly the same. This will be whatever you decide to do it in. Okay, and then there's a couple of bits and pieces that we need to do here. Okay, so in terms of the values to update, we're going to use the ID. Okay, and for this, I'm going to take the video ideas first JSON ID. Okay, because that's how we're going to use this sheet, right? That's why we've got the ID column here, and that's how the automation will find the correct row to action. Okay, so if I just click on expressions, just video ideas, which is just go back here, paste the ID here, right? As you can see in the original expression. Okay, and just come out of this, and when that's done, once we have that, we want to update the status to done, okay? And we want to update the publish column to publish, okay? Because that's then it's going to set it to this in this first cycle, right? Now, if I run this automation again, it's going to pick up the next column or the next row on the sheet, okay? Because it's done and it's to publish, okay? And you want to do this because otherwise it's just going to it's going to basically go through every single row on every single run, right? And it's going to cause issues and it's going to cause problems with your automation, right? Now that this status is done and this one's to publish, it's going to ignore it on the next run because the next one is going to look for a status of review. Does that make sense? So if I go back into here, we want to go to status, we want to change that to done. And remember these are just variables. It's well, not really variables, but these are just statuses. I've only got 2, review and done. And for this one, I've only got 2, pending to publish, right? And it just makes it so that it doesn't get caught on the next run. So the first one, status, is going to be done. The next one is going to be to publish, right? Let me just copy this and put it into to publish. And then the final version is just going to be the URL. Because I haven't run it, you can't see it, but if you go inside of here, you just grab the JSON URL. And this is the final URL that comes from the previous node. Okay, and in fact, let's just go into expressions. Let me show you in the bigger window so you can see it clearly. That's it. Right, so you can see here, if I open this up, execute previous node for nodes for previews, right? So, because I haven't run it, right? But in the render video, it will show you exactly what that looks like. And again, test a step, okay? And then that should be it. Yeah, there's nothing else here. Okay, so that's it there. And just remember to rename it. So we're gonna call it final video URL, and that's and this node is gonna update this column here. And that's basically it. That's most of the automation done. Now the optional extras is going to be this here. So if I just move down, you can have another schedule trigger, which will find the video. So it's going to look for column G. It's going to do another HTTP request, and then it's going to upload the video onto YouTube. So I can show you that. I've got it open here. Let me this is my main channel, but I've actually got a demo channel, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So if I go into content, shorts, here it is. Here's the video. This is the one that I showed you at the start. POV, you wake up in an abandoned Mayan city. The jungle has reclaimed everything, but something still lingers. Okay, so that's all from this sheet, right? And you can use all of that inside of this automation. So how do we build this? Okay, so let's get started. The first module or node that you want is going to be schedule trigger. And again, you can set this up however you want. I'm just going to leave it as is. We're going to leave that here. The next one is going to be a read. Okay, so it's going to be a get rows, and we're going to connect to the same sheet. This time, we're going to look for the column publish, and it's only going to action any video that has column F as to publish, right? So let's just go ahead and add this node. So we're going to do Google Sheets, and we're going to do a get rows, because that's what we're going to do. It's a get function. I'm going to connect it up. So I'm just going to find the right document and the right sheet. And then for this, you're going to add a filter. So the column this time is going to be publish, and the value or the filter is going to be to publish. Now it just has to reflect whatever you're going to put into this column, right? I've used to publish, that's fine. So it's going to ignore anything that's pending, right? It's going to ignore basically every other row on this sheet, which is what I wanted to do, right? That's it there. And then the last thing you want to do is return only first matching rows, okay? So add an option, return only first matching rows, make sure this is checked. Okay, and again, test the automation. And then if we go back to the original, so let's just label this to find video in the build. It just makes it easier to remember exactly what these do. Because I'm somebody that builds like hundreds of automations, right? I've built quite quite a few, and I build obviously client projects. So I just want to make sure if I look at an automation for the first time, I know exactly what, after a while, I know exactly what I'm doing, okay? Or exactly what the automation is doing. And the next module is going to be an HTTP request. So this time it's going to be a get, and for the function you can just do JSON final version. Okay, so if I go into here, I'm just going to get the expression code, paste that here. Right, so the final version is going to be URL. Okay, and then for everything else, you just leave it blank. That's absolutely fine. Right, so you can see here, I've got a, let me just change this to expression, and you can rename this. I've left it blank. I've just left it as it is. That's fine. I mean, you could do something like get URL or something like that, right? If you wanted to, but that's absolutely fine. And again, just test the function to make sure it works. And then the last one is going to be YouTube. You want to upload it. Okay, so find a new YouTube load, and you want to look for upload a video. This is it here. Okay, again, connect it up to your YouTube account. So this is just like a Gmail G Suite connection. The operation is video, the resource is video, the operation is upload. And for title, you can just take whatever is in here as a dynamic field. I'll show you what that is. It's just ideas, right? So that's just pulling it from this here, right? The column B. And if you go back to my original video, you can see it's the same. POV, you wake up in an abandoned mine city. The whole point of this workflow is to make it completely automated, right? So that all you have to focus on is just this sheet. That's it. All you need is just to fill this sheet up with ideas, and then the automation will just keep churning out videos, right? So title is going to be the JSON field, right? And I can't see it because I haven't run it from the beginning, which is fine, but you just got to take this, right? And then if it's worked, then you'll see it below. Okay. For region code, I'm going to select the United States. You can put this to any region that you want. So this is US. And then category name or ID. I mean, just find something that's kind of similar to whatever video style you're going to do. I'm just going to do entertainment for this. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to get the description, which is this here. Okay. So the jungle has reclaimed everything, but something still lingers here. So where does this come from? So if you go back to the original sheet, it's this here, it's captions. It's just, we're just using the same thing, right, as what we use for the captions. And we put that into the automation. We're just now gonna do the same thing and just keep it as simple as possible, right? So if I grab this, and it's just a JSON field, it's just dynamic variable, which just means that it's pulling it from the captions column inside of the Google Sheets module, the first Google Sheets module at the start of the automation. That's all it means. So where did I put that? That's in options, description. Okay, so add description. I'm going to paste the captions. Okay, and then for the rest of it, for private status, I recommend that you leave it unlisted. Okay, unlisted just means it's on the website, but it's not live. Right, so if I go here, you see it's unlisted. And this is always a good idea, especially when you're creating content with AI, right? You want to have a human in the loop step. You want to check it yourself. You want to make sure that the videos, it kind of matches exactly what you want to do here. If I'm happy with this, then I can always just go in here and make it public, right? And then the whole of the world can see it, right? So I think it's a good idea to do that and just leave it as unlisted, especially when you're creating volume, right? If you've got like quite a few videos, you're doing like 5, 10 videos a day, you definitely want to have a human in the loop checking that, okay? So for the option, it's going to be privacy status, and we're going to leave it unlisted. And yeah, that's it. That's all of the entire automation built. Just gonna rename this to upload video or upload to YouTube, whatever. Just call it something that will make sense to you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and run the original and show you exactly what it looks like with another video. So I'm gonna pause this and come back. So as you can see, I've ran the entire workflow again, and like I said, it takes between depending on when you run this automation, if the platforms are busy, such as 11 Labs, PyAPI, etc. And this took about 20 minutes for it to generate everything that I need. Okay, and you can see there's green ticks here, which means it's worked. And so if I go over to the sheet, this is now the second video. So if I click on this, you can see the output. So unrolling a parchment scroll on a stone table. I mean, this is pretty good. It's really good. This is because I haven't included anything else. If you go inside of the template, if I just come out of here and just come out of this as well, the reason it's red and there's nothing there is because if you go inside of the template, this is set to about 30 seconds, right? So the video is somewhere along the lines of, the template is about 30 seconds, right? But this video itself is how many seconds? 4 or 5 seconds. So the only thing you would need to do if you were to replicate this is have more content. Just fill it out. So you got 5 times 5 is 25, right? So you probably want to reduce your timeline down to about 25 seconds, and then you'll have content for the entire video. Okay, there's one more other thing that I want you to be aware of, because like I said, it depends on, the automation will depend on how many operations and how busy the platforms are. So I'm inside of PyAPI, right? And this is the most important one because this is generating the image and the video. And you can see that when I've done in the past, right? So this is the one that I did to show you for this example. It started at 9:15 and it finished at 9:32. Okay, so this one took about 17 minutes. Okay, but in the past, you can see here that it started at 8:44 and it finished about 9:06. So it's roughly about the same time, right? Like it's anywhere between sort of 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so bear that in mind and adjust your wait times accordingly. Okay, because if you don't wait long enough, it's gonna pull the URL across, right, when you get the get video and the get image, but there's gonna be nothing there because the platform PyAPI is still processing the video. Okay, the other thing I want to show you is the same for Flux. Flux doesn't take that as long because it's just an image, right? So you can see here it started at 9:13, which is the one I just ran, and it finished at 9:14. So roughly, less than a minute. Okay, and that's kind of acceptable because it's just an image. The video rendering takes a lot longer. Okay, so yeah, that's the video complete. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It took me a long time to put this together, so if you can, like the video, leave a comment below, share the video, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel, and I'll definitely see you on the next video. Thank you.